So this is a question from the Algebra 1 Regents in 2024 in January. We're going to attempt to solve it. So the question reads, while playing golf, Laura hit her ball from the ground. The height in feet of her golf ball can be modeled by h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 48t, where t is the time in seconds. Graph h of t on the set of axes below, and then the questions say, what is the maximum height in feet that the golf ball reaches on this hit, and then how many seconds does it take the golf ball to hit the ground? We'll start by finding the height at each point at each time, and we have three times that we could look at. We start with h of 0 and find out what that is. We plug in 0 for t, 16 times 0 squared plus 48 times 0, that just becomes 0. Then we find h of 1, which is 16 times 1 squared plus 48 times 1. And then we could easily plug that into our calculator and figure out that 16 times 1 squared is just 16, or negative 16 in this case. 48 times 1 is just 48. And then 48 minus 16 is 32. So h of 1 is 32. Then we find h of 2, which is equal to negative 16 times 2 squared plus 48 times 2. We could plug those numbers into our calculator. We'll see that negative 16 times 4, we simplify that, 48 times 2 is just 96. And then we get negative 16 times 4, that's negative 64 plus 96. And plugging that into our calculator or mental math will tell us that the answer is 32. So h of 2 is 32. Then we do the same thing for h of 3. And then we see that we have negative 16 times 3 squared plus 48 times 3. And then that gives us negative 16 times 9 plus 48 times 3 is just 144. Negative 16 times 9 is negative 144 plus 144 just gives us h of 3 is equal to 0. Then we could start to tabulate everything, t and h of t at 0, 1, 2, and 3. H of t at 0 is 0, h of t at 1 it's 32, at 2 is 32, and at 3 is 0. Then we plot our points. But what happens at 1.5 seconds? What happens between 2 and 1? It's not a flat line, it's a curve, right? So we want to figure out what happens at 1.5. So we figure that out by plugging it in, and that's equal to 36. And then we plot that point. Then we could go ahead and trace the graph. And this is, even though it's not perfect, I'm freehanding. And then we could see that this is a parabola. And then by looking, we could see that that is the maximum height. And that's what the first question is looking for. What is the maximum height? So we write that and remember that the height is in feet. Lastly, to answer the second question, we notice that at t equals 3, that's where the ball hits the ground. So the second question is asking that exact question. So we write t is equal to 3 seconds. We could box around it just to make sure that people know what our answer is.